Hi everyone, this is Ben Colby, teen librarian, Enoch Pratt, with an intermediate level video on containers. So I'm in Tinkercad and I'm starting a new design. And we're going to use the shape generators today to create containers. First one I want to look at is the isometric thread, which is on the featured shape generators, page 1. And I used this for one of the candle mold videos. I'm going to stretch it using the shift key to about the width that seems good. And 25 millimeters is an inch. Let's make this a little bigger because the inside hole will actually be quite a bit smaller than the outside. That's pretty good. And I am just going to stretch this. It'll also print better. That's kind of a sharp angle to print up at. If I stretch it up, that's probably a lot better, yeah. Fine. So I've got this threaded thing, and I could keep it nice and simple and use a cylinder as the hole shape for the center. So I'm just going to make it larger, stretch it up, lift it off the ground slightly, make it a hole, and then try to line it up perfectly with the top. Just make sure the shadow is kind of centered. And that looks pretty good to me. So I am going to drag a box over the two shapes, and boom, I have a threaded container. Pretty cool. Let's keep going. Let's keep digging in the shape generators. Let's look at all shape generators. And we're looking for, well, stuff that's flat on the bottom, I suppose. That's kind of important. I like some of these. Pro Gear. I like this because it's kind of rounded on the end. I think that one would be cool. And there's stuff we could do with it. There is the one on my mind. I want to jump to the one on my mind, which is the flower. I like to use this one for containers because I can get a different radius on the top and the bottom. So if I make the top radius larger than the bottom radius, then it flares out. That's cool. Let's change the petal length. I like that. Let's just have a 3-petal thing, and let's stretch it up. "100" would be 4 inches. I guess that's fine for a desk cup or something like that. And so the basic way to cut a hole out of this, or at least one basic way, would be to copy and paste. Or you know what? In this case, duplicate is better because it generates something in exactly the same spot. And if I want to make this outside kind of thin, that's probably fine. Let's see how that looks. And it cuts out, and that is a neat little container using the flower shape. Now there's one thing on my mind here that I want to just be sure of. I don't want any part of the outside to be less than 1 millimeter because it might not form properly. So how am I going to test that? I'm going to take a little stick and make it, well, let's just make it 3 by 3 so we can kind of measure, and I'll just type in the number. So I now have a little measuring stick that is 3 millimeters wide, and I'm just going to drag it over my thing and see if I can overlap it and zoom in. So I'm at about half or less than half of the 3, so that's about 1 millimeter at least. That'll be fine. As long as your walls are at least 1 millimeter, you'll be okay. Or even maybe a little less. So that's a nice shape to use. Let's use 2 things at the same time. So I'm going to start with this and then add something to it. Let's go back in the all shape generators, excuse me. I'm going to pick something weird. This is not bad. Let's take this cone metric gear, and I'm just going to make it kind of larger so it's about the same size. And let's overlap it, and it's kind of hard to see. All right, so then I'm going to stretch it up. That's interesting. So if I were to center this along the outside, let's try to get it roughly even. That's roughly even. That's very cool. Obviously it changes the inside, but here's a trick to fix that. I'm going to go back to here, ungroup, and now let's just group all three of these things together, and it should cut out the hole out of everything. It's taken a second. I think this gear shape is a little complicated for Tinkercad. You can do it. You can do it. Wow, it must really... Okay, I'm going to... should I pause? Anyway, this will eventually update. There is one more thing. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So now you can see the inside is cut out again, and I've got that stuff just along the outside. Cool little addition. And let's add one more thing to this. Any number of things could be good, but there's a specific thing on my mind. It is... Goodness. It's toward the end. It's the radial fin thing. Oh yeah, tube joint, right? So it's on page 14. So I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bigger. It's just, I can also change the, let's say fewer tongs. Oh, that's nice, yeah. And the angle, oh, okay. And the thickness, we can make the thickness greater or less. That's cool. So let's make it significantly bigger. That's nice. So I want it to be kind of sticking out evenly all around. And in this case, I'm not sure that I even need to worry about recutting the hole in the middle because it kind of just creates this interesting pattern on the inside. And maybe I could even use these side containers for something small. So I kind of like that. Let's see what this looks like when it's all grouped together. But I could recut the hole in the middle if I needed to, if I preferred to do that. This might take just a little while to do again. And so while that's processing, I do want to, there's one more that I really like, and that'll be the last one. It is the twisted spiral, which is on what page? Maybe it's farther down. Oh my. There really are a lot of these shapes. Oh, and that updated. I like that. I think that is a cool but weird container. And I guess I can't find the one I was thinking of. But anyway, that's good. So there's a lot of shape generators here that will give you something you can use and add an element to your container. And you can really come up with some very complex and strange things. And of course, think about this too with color changes. We can do color layers if that makes it look nicer too. All right, so that is the intermediate container video.